Welcome everyone to the Modern Merchant Podcast. Today I've got Jamie, head of e-commerce from SOLETRADER. I'm your host, Travis, CEO of Flxpoint. Jamie, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on the podcast. We'd love to get kicked off with just a quick overview about SOLETRADER and tell us what you guys do.
Yeah, so SOLETRADER, we're based in the UK. We have around about 30 brick and mortar retail stores selling primarily footwear, multi-brand retail stores. We've had them for a long time, so we're a fairly old business. And we have e-commerce channels as well, including our own websites, and we sell on third-party marketplaces as well. So that's basically an overview of what we do. We now also have our partner program, which is where Flxpoint comes in and where we've brought in Flxpoint to manage that into our mix.
Awesome. So 30 stores, a couple different web presences, a marketplace, a little bit of everything. Awesome to hear. I mean, how would you kind of describe your primary customer? Does it differ across those different channels, or do you have like a primary persona you go after? I'd love to know kind of how you think about that.
Yeah, so we sell multi-brand footwear. So generally our customers will fit into the brands that we buy. So that, you know, we have certain personas and a certain target market that fits into that. It's fairly broad, and obviously with online there's more place, more stock you could buy, more place to display it.
Right.
So that widens slightly, but generally we like to be focused on our target market and really provide our target market with something interesting and something different for them. So we're not just another footwear retailer. We're not just the same as everyone else. So we're really trying to bring something interesting, different, something innovative to our customers, something they can't just find everywhere else.
Yeah.
And that really goes across all of our channels. So whether that's in store or whether that's online, each has their own challenges, and each has their own slightly different nuances, but overall, on a broad sense, it's consistent.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to reselling brands, like, you guys sell top brands like UGG and, different top shoe brands. I'm just seeing on your website here, for brick and mortar, it's a tried and true approach, right? You got the top brands, you've got a captive audience who's within a certain mileage from you, and you're able to kind of, capitalize on that as being the go-to store to go try on, feel the shoes, that kind of thing, see them in person. Online, whole different game, right? And so differentiating when you're reselling other brands that, potentially they can get on Amazon, they can get on the brand's website, they can get other resellers' websites. Can you talk a little bit specifically around like how you differentiate online and how you give that experience when you're reselling someone else's brand?
Yeah, sure. So of course that's been a major challenge over the last 15 or so years with the increase in e-commerce and online selling and the brands being able to go direct to consumer. That's a challenge that we face, and essentially what we need to do and what we try to do is provide something different for our customers. So we're not just competing all the time directly with our brands, because there'd be no purpose of that. There'd be no purpose of us being online, and we're not providing value to them. So what we try to do is provide our target market with an interesting collection of different products, different brands, something new, something interesting, something they might not have seen before. We picked up very early on certain key brands that we had quite a bit before our competitors. So there's that, constantly trying to innovate, allowing our customers to discover something new, being a bit different. We enjoy our independent spirit, really. So that's what we try to do, and we feel like we have a big role to play in the marketplace, continually giving that to our customers.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been around for a while. You've got it seems like a large team, a lot. You're obviously successful, right? With the 30 different stores. I'm looking at your account now. Orders are on their way up month over month, consistently growing there. So it seems like you guys are doing something right. I'm curious, for priorities and goals, right? To start of the new year, we're into March now, but it still feels like we're just getting kicked off. But it's early into the year. What are you guys focused on? What are the kind of initiatives? What are the goals? What are the priorities for this upcoming year?
That's a good question. The first thing, of course, is that in this game, as I'm sure you know, you can never stand still. So you're constantly, to just stay where you are, you've constantly got to be running forward. It's very fast moving. So there's constant initiatives just to keep moving forward. We're currently undergoing like a massive replatforming of our website, which is very exciting. So we've got a new websites coming next few weeks. So we've been heavily focused on that. Keeping to develop our partner program, which is again where Flxpoint comes in. That's a really key area of our business. It comes back to what we're talking about in terms of brands going D2C and doing multi-brand online. We really felt like our place in the future online very much lies in the marketplace model, so allowing the brands that we work with to go D2C essentially to the customer, selling through our platform, allowing them to hold the stock in their warehouse. They could sell it on other channels, they could sell it on their own D2C channels, but at the same time surface it on our websites and tap into our market, our customer, and what we're trying to do. So those are the big focuses, as well as, of course, on the brick and mortar storefront, on the store side. Again, you can never stay still. You've constantly got to be driving forward, and we're undergoing big initiatives there to move us steps forward in that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, it's super interesting, right? You guys had a great operation with the multiple stores. You had a kind of wholesale purchasing, sell online, e-commerce business, and then you decided to open up a marketplace on your site or launch a marketplace. What led you to that decision, and kind of just talk through that process of maybe launching the marketplace?
Yeah, so partly what led to the decision was that we, in the wholesale stuff, the stuff that we buy, the stuff we stock in our stores, we sell some of that on marketplaces ourselves. So on some stock we'll sell on Amazon or some other marketplaces. And the feeling we got was, well, why should we be doing that? Why should we be doing that? We should much prefer if other people were selling their stock on our website and we were the marketplace. And because of our experience of selling on marketplaces, we kind of knew the business quite well from the reverse side. So we really felt like the place for multi-brands in the future, with the move to D2C, with disintermediation of the brands, was for us to be a platform for them. And the brands have really bought into that, and we've managed to onboard some fairly big brands, and we've had a really good reception from brands. They're very receptive to doing it. Sometimes, obviously, things get delayed by they've got a long development backlogs, etc. But the overall reception's been really positive, and people have been really excited to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, I see you've got a couple dozen brands directly in Flxpoint here. I know you guys integrate with us via API for your custom site. But in general, when it comes to integrating brands, I see you're connected to a couple Shopify stores. I see there's a couple files in here. I don't know if there's any API that I'm missing. Maybe there's a little bit there. Can you talk about how you're connecting with these brands and the process of bringing on new vendors?
Yeah, so the reason we brought in Flxpoint was because going back to what I was talking earlier about us doing marketplaces, we saw with some big pretty big marketplace operators how difficult it was and how difficult they make it for you to integrate with them. And with us being, the size we are, we're not a $1 billion company. So we felt like we need to make sure it's really easy for our vendors to sell and to integrate, and make it essentially as a decision of why not sell on SOLETRADER, rather than, well, should we add this into our backlog? Is it going to be worth it, etc. So that's why we brought in Flxpoint, because we wanted to make it super easy for people to integrate and join. So we've got a mix of people integrating in all sorts of different ways. Obviously, we got some Shopify stores which are really super simple to do. Some people are using API. Some people are using API for some of the integrations, so partly the CSV file, partly API. Some are all CSV file. So that flexibility, that the ability to essentially allow anyone to integrate in the best way that suits them, that's really why we brought in Flxpoint, and it's so far worked really well. We've never come across a challenge so far where we've said, well, we can't do that. Sorry, that's going to be too difficult. And the reception again from brands has been really good, and the integrations have been really good. When we speak to brands, we promise them that this is going to be the quickest marketplace integration they'll ever do, and I think mostly we've kept that promise.
No, that's great to hear. I mean, that's really kind of the brand promise of Flxpoint. You go to our website, integrate any vendor is the first thing you'll see. We've seen it. We've been around, this team at least through another product. We've been around for 20 years, and we've heard all different kinds of ways that a vendor might want to integrate. So, it's in the name, being as flexible as possible, no matter what they might want to integrate. Not even that, even across multiple different technologies, as you kind of brought in, right? They might want to connect their Shopify store for pulling inventory and product data, but then connect via API or send a file via FTP or email for, the purchase orders, whatever it might be, right? Being flexible enough to, like you said, not really have them to conform to your business, but you work within their business, current flows, really kind of makes it easy for them. It's a no-brainer, right? And that's what you guys kind of were able to accomplish.
That's what we aim for. I mean, it's probably kind of a bit of a cliche with being called Flxpoint and saying that it's flexible, but obviously, I guess the reason you called it flexible was because that was what you were trying to do, and it definitely achieved that. It seems to be built really well, and with the thought of let's try and build this in a way that it will solve problems that we haven't thought of yet, and that's obviously really the best way to build things, and probably the most difficult. So definitely a good job on that one.
Awesome. So today, I guess, can you talk to me about the use of Flxpoint? Like who's in the app? Are you guys in it that much? Is it kind of just running behind the scenes? Love to know about the use of Flxpoint. Or is it just for vendor onboarding from your side and connecting things up? Are you using the other features? Just kind of curious, because it's been a while since we spoke, so I'd love to kind of learn.
Yeah, so generally it's mostly runs in the background. If we've done our job well and the integration, everything flows well, and we don't need too much intervention within Flxpoint. It obviously allows us to see where all the statuses are up to and check if there's any issues with a specific order, if a customer gets in touch with us or something like that. But generally, if the integration's gone well, there won't be too much day-to-day involvement in that side. We integrated Flxpoint essentially to our order management system, to our back-end systems, which then integrates with our website. And then on the other side, you've got the vendors who integrate within Flxpoint. So that's basically the chain, and if all's gone well, then we shouldn't have to get involved too much, and everything is automated. That's really the idea. You don't really want to be doing too much, because the idea is to automate everything, and as much as possible we've done that.
No, that's great. You mentioned, and I know you have a custom built website, but just for, we have a lot of engineers and developers and those that are customers and, you know, part of our audience would love to know kind of the tech stack. I know a lot of it's custom, but what you can provide me as far as proprietary, you know, whether it's the language you guys are writing on, or even just anything you're actually using like that's out of the box, any other SaaS products like a Flxpoint that you
Yeah. So, well, I could talk about what we're going to. Maybe that's more interesting.
Yeah,
in the next few weeks.
And why, right? And why would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I could try. I don't know if I have the answers, but I could try. So what we're going to is we're almost done building a fully composable headless site. The e-commerce engine will be BigCommerce. We're using Storyblock for content management and Algolia for search and product indexing. So we've really tried to, you know, make it composable little pieces integrating with each other. The front end is obviously built by an agency together with us in Next.js. So it looks like it's going to be very, very quick, very, very high performance. That's the aim. And these are the type of performance you get from these types of sites, if built well. You can't rival that with you know, with a monolithic system. Building on Shopify using Shopify Liquids, you can't rival that. So that's what's coming. The integrations, we have quite an old back-end system with all sorts of moving parts, and generally we've sort of integrated the little parts to each other with a bit of Python, some AWS Lambda functions, that type of thing. There's loads of little things flying around. Honestly, the amount of different things we use. We've got a Microsoft Azure account, Google Cloud account, AWS account. We got them all, and you find that for different functions you need different tools. So there's no one size fits all, one system for all of it. Right. And really that's where the world is going, I think, and that's definitely why I believe in smaller specialized systems.
Yeah.
So I think Flxpoint does a really good job of that. We've not tried to say like, let's make Flxpoint into our PIM system as well, or let's make it do things that it shouldn't be doing. It really does its specialist function, which is connecting us to our marketplace vendors, and does that really well. And because it's got really strong APIs, so when we joined, I think that version 2 API was pretty new. So I've only really used that, and it does everything it needs to do. And because it's got that, you could connect it with anything. You could do anything. We could write custom code in the middle between the connection of that and our website, and do whatever we need to do. So that's the way the market's moving. That's the way the world is moving, and I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah, I would agree. We've talked a lot about that over the years, and we definitely are advocates of the best in breed type approach, and having an open API and a robust API so you can connect those best in breed software platforms. So awesome to hear that kind of translates through. When it comes to headless and composable, that's awesome to hear. I know everyone, that's a hot topic. It's been a hot topic for the last couple of years, and it takes the right team. It takes the right opportunity to roll it out when it makes sense, right? Takes the right platform. Like, there's a lot of different approaches to doing a headless composable kind of build. Do you know, were you part of, I'm not sure how much you can speak to it, but you know, why did you guys pick BigCommerce for that headless composable build that you guys have coming up?
Yeah, so we went through a pretty long process of deciding our next move. When I joined, which was about 3.5-4 years ago, we were actually in the middle of a replatforming onto our current websites, and so we finished that process. And at the time, we were quite sure this wasn't necessarily the future for us. This wasn't going to be where we should be in 5 years' time. So we went on a search at that time and took our time over it, really going through all the options, and eventually we landed on BigCommerce and doing it headless. It wasn't always the plan, but it was almost by way of ruling out the alternatives. It's sort of where we landed. The feeling with BigCommerce specifically was that they've got, you know, fairly decent APIs, which is what you need if you're building a headless composable site. They felt like they were moving in the market. They were moving into our sort of area of mid-sized businesses, and the idea of somewhere like they call themselves open SaaS, but that type of idea of where they've got good API coverage, but it still works for medium-sized businesses because they've still got the core functionality, and you don't have to build everything yourself. That was sort of what we landed on. The reality is also within a composable project, the little parts become less important. As you know, what's more important is how you put them together, is that they do their own little function better as well as they can. So if it was a question of not doing a composable site and doing a Shopify site or Salesforce or BigCommerce and doing that 100%, it becomes much more important, the right platform. But in a composable sense, as long as they've got decent APIs, it could pretty much be any of them, to be honest. That's really what we've come to after building it. That's kind of the conclusion you're left with.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, we'd love to check in after you guys are kind of live with that. Sounds like it's coming right around the corner. Is this in the next?
Yeah, few weeks, 2-3 weeks. I don't want to promise anything, but
I appreciate you joining a podcast just 2 weeks out from a headless composable go live, and I'm sure things are crazy over there.
Yeah, it's been busy. A lot of testing, a lot of writing codes as well, because we like to get involved and you know, get under the hood, which has been another reason to go for this type of build. It's we're not a huge team. We don't have 20 devs working at any time, but we're always keen to learn, always keen to get involved and try and do stuff ourselves and do it in-house. So it's been really exciting. It's been good fun. It's been good fun building.
Well, it's awesome to hear from you and what we kind of consider a modern merchant, right? You've got this brick and mortar infrastructure, but you guys are very tech forward, it seems. You've got developers on staff, you're integrating via API, you're rolling out headless, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we'd love to hear that kind of side of things like you just shared, you know, and what we consider a modern merchant, which is being kind of tech forward and making sure that you kind of are on that leading edge of technology to gain that competitive edge, which it sounds like SOLETRADER's doing. So awesome to hear. Jamie, is there anything that we didn't touch on, we should have touched on? Yeah, anything we missed?
Well, there's lots we could talk about, I suppose, but no, I think generally, like you've said about being a modern merchant, I think the world of development, software development over the last 20, 30 years, I think there's been a lot of changes, and I think the barriers for entry are becoming much lower, and I think it's becoming much easier. And with composability, stuff like that, and being able to write and do small functions in of themselves, I think that's really allowed, you know, smaller teams. It's allowed companies to take agency of their codes and stuff like that, and it's a real positive because it makes things much quicker and allows you to pretty much do anything. As much as possible, we try to never be able to say, no, we can't do that, that's too hard, or that's going to take too long. And really everything's possible, anything really is possible. So I think the world is moving in a very good place in that regard. Awesome.
Well, this was super interesting. I just want to make sure I got the website, soletrader.co.uk.
Yeah, in the US, it'd be soletradershoes.com.
There we go. Perfect. SOLETRADERshoes in the US.com. Awesome. This was great, Jamie. Really appreciate it. Love to have you back on again. Maybe hear more about that headless go live that you had. So thanks again.
Hopefully, if it goes well. Thank you very much.